It's safe to say that within us all, our inner child has never really grown up. Who hasn't wanted to be daring adventurer traveling to exotic places in search of buried treasure?
Or the armchair explorer who stumbles upon a secret map detailing the whereabouts of some unknown object right in your own hometown.
Well, hello, I'm Sunny.
And I'm Sandy.
And today on Parent Savers, we're talking about geocaching, family fun in nature.
Faster than a speeding toddler.
Sit still for just a minute.
Can soothe boo-boos with a gentle kiss.
Did you get down from there?
Able to clean poopy bottoms in a single swipe.
Oh, what did you eat?
Turning frazzled mommies and daddies into procreators of peace and harmony.
Ah, quit touching me.
It's Parent Savers, empowering new parents everywhere.
Welcome, everybody, to Parent Savers, broadcasting from the Birth Education Center of San Diego. Parent Savers is your weekly online on-the-go support group for parents from the newborn years through kindergarten. I'm your host, John O'Reilly. Thanks again to all of our loyal listeners who join us week in and week out, and thanks also to those of you who are listening for the first time. As you may know, you can join our Parent Savers Club and receive access to special bonus content after each new show, plus special giveaways and discounts from time to time. And if you haven't already, please make sure to download the free Parent Savers app, available in the Android and iTunes Marketplace and for Windows Phone, so you can automatically have access to the great parenting advice conversation we have on Parent Savers every week. Let's start today's conversation about family fun in nature and geocaching by meeting everyone who's joining us in the room today. I'll start with myself. My name's Johnner. We have 3 boys, a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and just turned 3-year-old. And we have definitely geocached before, and it's something that our family's very has done, and we've done since our kids were younger. So I'm definitely excited to talk about today's topic.
Hi, I'm Erin Esteves, also known as OG Mamacita, and I have one boy. He's 2.5, going on 40. We have yet to geocache with him. We're totally excited about it, though. And before I go into anything further...
Wait, what's your son's name? Wait
Cash.
for it. Cash. Her son's name is Cash.
Really? Okay.
So I wanted to remind everybody of our virtual panelist program. If you would like to make a comment or a question and you can't be in the studio because you're not in the area or you're otherwise occupied, you can shoot us a text, a message via Twitter or on our Facebook by hashtagging VP Parent Savers.
Everyone send Erin texts.
I know. Send me a text.
No, hit us up on social media. All right, and then also Sandy and Sunny are joining us. Tell us about yourselves, guys.
Hey, guys. We're Sunny and Sandy, and we're parents of a currently 6-year-old. He just turned 6.
From kindergarten.
Just graduated from kindergarten. And we've been geocaching for a long time. In fact, many years ago, we decided that we loved our hobby, this sport, this activity, whatever you want to call it, so much that we would start a podcast and start talking about it on the air as well, just like what you guys are doing here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what's that name of that podcast?
The name is Podcacher, so it's like PODCACHER. It's Podcacher Podcast at podcacher.com.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. Well, great. Thanks for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
Before we start today's show, let's talk about a news headline. This is where we look at a topic that's been in the news recently and discuss it and think that hopefully we can offer some interesting perspective or at least bring an issue to your attention as our listeners. So, Erin, what have we got today?
Well, right now we have an appearance that Mila Kunis made on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, where she took the opportunity to chastise men for saying we're pregnant. So she says, oh, you both are having a baby, she asked. You and your wife are pregnant? No. She asks future dads that they should drop the we before are pregnant because, quote, you are not squeezing a watermelon-sized person out of your lady hole. So this has taken a life of its own on the internet, and people are just going crazy about it. What do you guys think? Did you say we're pregnant?
I think there are times where I did, and there's times where I didn't. But it definitely, felt like, I can kind of sympathize with that thought because at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, I'm not the one that has to get that out of there. So I can understand that, for sure. But I also think that, with a lot of things with marriage that the team, and it's always been a big factor for me and Christina that we're a team and we're in everything together. But at the end of the day, she was the one that was carrying the baby and delivering it.
What about you guys?
Well, it's interesting. Sandy and I adopted, and so we never went through that phase of being we're pregnant or she's pregnant. So it's an interesting, but I've heard that term used several times, and I think I'm of similar thought. It's a team effort, but there's the physicality, obviously, physiology.
All right, so there's the dude's perspective.
Yeah.
So what are you guys?
Yeah, what do you guys think?
Well, for me, I always said we're expecting. Because, that...
So both of you are expecting, right?
Yeah, we're expecting, but I'm the one who happens to be pregnant.
Right.
That doesn't diminish his role in any way, but it doesn't detract from mine either.
So choose your words carefully. Don't say we're pregnant, but that we are expecting to be parents. That's a good little nuance.
Yeah, we're going to have a baby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to have a baby. And perhaps Mila Kunis wouldn't have a problem with you saying that. Today's topic is kids geocaching, family fun in nature. Today we're talking with Sandy and Sunny, who are not only experienced geocachers, but also podcasters. So thanks for joining us. You're welcome. So let's start with a basic about what are we talking about when we're talking about geocaching.
Okay. So essentially it's a treasure hunt. You're looking for a container that's hidden out there somewhere, and the way you find it is by using a GPS receiver or device. Typically, there's going to be little trinkets in the container. You're not going to actually find treasure. But when you open it up, there's going to be a logbook that you sign, and then if you want, you can trade out some of the little trinkets. Typically, it's not anything of huge value or worth, mostly like Happy Meal toys.
Right.
Yeah.
The treasure, a lot of the treasure is the hunt.
Absolutely.
That's right.
The treasure is
the
in
journey,
the hunt.
the experience. Yeah.
And if you're not familiar with geocaching, I think that everyone would be amazed to see how widespread these are, and that they're almost everywhere.
Well,
they're all over the world. Yeah.
Geo takes it right there. It does cover the world.
Yeah, actually, if you take a look at the map right now, I believe they've gone over 2 million geocaches in around the world. And one thing you can do is go to the parent website, geocaching.com.
Right.
Just put in your zip code, and then a map will pop up, and you will see how many are around your area, your home.
Yeah. And so if you want to get started in geocaching and learning more, that's the first stop, right? Is it a nonprofit organization or is it a profit?
Well, the way it works is there's a way to pay.
Yeah.
Well, it is for profit. You can sign up for free.
Right.
And then if you want some of the more advanced features, you can pay like $30 a year.
Okay.
So it's not too expensive.
Yeah.
But they are a company. They're the main listing site. There are other places that list geocaches.
Is that
but that's the main one.
geocaching.com?
Geocaching.com.
Yeah.
Right.
And I know that there's an app too, and I think that there's their official app. And this is one of those that I recommend to all my friends that have kids. And it's $10. It's $9.99 for this app. And at first, because you're so used to the app economy of like, I want it free or I want it for 99 cents or it's a ripoff. But then take a step back and think about all the fun that you're going to have in nature, looking for things, and it's easily a great $10 to spend. And so I've talked to a lot of my friends and had them buy it too, and they've totally thanked me for getting it.
It used to be that you had to buy a GPS unit,
Exactly.
it's $100 or more dollars. And now with a smartphone that almost everybody has, $10 for the app and you're there.
Yeah,
you're done.
We all have a GPS in our pocket.
And let me clarify, the $30 for a premium membership gets you a lot of goodies, but you can play the game for free.
Exactly.
Certainly.
So so we just talked a lot about money stuff, so sorry to scare you off, but you don't.
It's
but
free.
it's all for free, and that's
Right.
what's really cool about
Pretty
it. It's all
much,
free in nature, and you can go to that site and find geocaches like from the website.
You put in your zip code and you'll be amazed. Right around the corner at your local park, right around your house, everywhere you go, you're going to find them there.
Yeah.
And so maybe describe like just a basic experience that someone might have finding a geocache, or if like a family was going for the first time, what they might experience.
Well, there's a lot of variety of geocaches, but if you just stick with kind of the traditional ones where there's a container hidden, there's a lot that you can get out of the website. You can look for difficulty and terrain rating.
Yeah.
So you can look for an easier experience. You're not going to want to be hiking up a mountain with a bunch of little kids. And you can find something that's in your local area that's of a larger size, so that it's going to have some toys in it, not a little tiny container.
And so each cache then is rated with how easy it is to find.
Mm-hmm.
How easy it is to find.
How easy it is to find.
And also the terrain.
How easy it is, the terrain, which is
get
how easy
there.
it is to access
Yeah.
and
Right.
get there. As well as the size of the
size,
cache, right?
right,
So there's
yeah.
kind of three factors.
Right.
And those are all, I think, kind of rated and then vetted out by people who have also found it found those before you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you go out and then you might find one on your phone. You might be at a local park, right? And say, hey, geocaching, like I heard about it on the Parent Savers podcast, or something I want to try out. You pull up and you say there's one close by. So then what do you do?
Well, you start walking and following, the arrow, and it'll show you which direction to go, and it'll kind of count down the distance. And then once you get close, 20, 30 feet, then you start having to hunt because it's not accurate, to the centimeter.
Our biggest tip for newbies, just starting off right away, is to once you get close, just put away the cell phone or the GPS
device.
receiver and start doing the Easter egg hunt thing. Look under bushes, turn over rocks, because some of them are very cleverly hidden.
Well, and so within each page, there's also hints.
Oh yeah.
Like sometimes to kind of help you find it, like the crazy green bush, like look around there or something.
Exactly.
Well, that's going to be dependent upon the hider.
Yeah.
See, geocaching is really both hiding and seeking, and most people start off obviously by seekers, and they're looking for geocaches that other people have hidden. But after some experience has been built up, a lot of times they say, "Oh, we want to hide one ourselves," which is a lot of fun for families to do.
Right.
And it's really dependent upon that hider to disclose how much they want to put into the hints and things like that. So they can be really cryptic about it, or they can be just like, okay, it's over underneath this rock next to this tree, go find it.
And I know for us as a family, especially when we do it with young kids, there's two things we've already kind of touched on that have been. One is the kids get so excited about tracking on the phone or the device that you end up kind of needing to remind them, hey guys, let's look up and look around and remember the hints. But they like seeing where their arrow is and like moving it around. But two, I think the difficulty is also a big factor because different families, especially maybe people have older kids, or they try to be harder. And sometimes you might find it with your young kids, and then you get so frustrated because you can't find this little tiny geocache that's hidden somewhere on a tree.
Oh, absolutely. And that happens to veterans all the time.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most frustrating things is that you read the online logs that other people post.
Right.
Because what happens is there's a paper log that you sign in, which is fun, but then you can go back online and sign the online log. And what's frustrating, especially for veterans or people who've been doing it for a little while, is you read other people who said, found it, easy, no problem. And you're like, we cannot find this thing. Where is it?
Yeah, and especially when you have young kids around, there's been a couple times where we've been like, oh man, but overall we've had super positive experience with geocaching.
A lot of time when Sean was very young, if we found it first, we'd kind of guide him so that he could find it.
Right.
And he would get so excited. Now he really does find it first.
Yeah.
We don't have to help him anymore.
Well, and so there is a treasure aspect to it. We talked about the treasure being the hunt.
Yeah.
But there's some caches, especially the bigger ones that I think you touched on, that actually have treasures.
Yeah, they have trinkets, often little toys. We talk about Happy Meal toys, dollar store toys.
Yeah.
Sometimes little stuffed animals or little tiny toy cars, bouncy balls. So we found a lot of different things.
The idea, though, is that you don't just take it. You would leave something if you want to take something.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you want to instill in your kids is to understand. And for us, we tell Sean, don't just trade, but trade up. Because there's always this sort of trend for people to put in more and more and more junkier things as time goes along. So a cache that's like, let's say, a week old has some decent trade items. But then after it's been there for 3 or 4 years, you find like bottle caps and a penny and things like that. And so that's one of the things that we work with Sean is like, okay, what are we going to trade? And what's going to be a fair trade or trading up?
Yeah, and really start thinking about, and I think as kids get older too, they can appreciate it more. What's going to give other people happiness and pleasure finding it and thinking about the other people that are going. All right, we just jumped right into that, Aaron. Are you intimidated or excited or have questions?
I'm just sitting here going, whoa!
So I don't want to make... did we make it sound too hard?
No. It sounds good. I'm just still trying to grasp the whole thing.
It's a whole new world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it's out there underneath your nose, and you didn't even know it's out there. Yeah, all the hidden things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And well, that is one of the things, too, is... I remember we were out on Coronado, which is out here in San Diego. It's they have like some parks. It's a peninsula. And we looked up one, and there was one that was hidden like across the street from a hotel. Oh. And you end up in these circumstances where you're kind of looking on this fence, and there's all these people going about their daily life, and you feel like you're in this secret game that they don't know about, and they might even be kind of looking at you like, what exactly is going on? But I know that they try to protect against that too when you hide the caches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they don't want people to think you're doing suspicious activity.
Right. They don't like them hidden by schools and, obvious things like that.
Airports,
or certainly not dangerous
hospitals.
things like railroad tracks, yeah.
It's funny how you brought the term up with other people who don't know about the game, because within the game itself, we call non-geocachers muggles.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Right?
Yeah, it's like that they're not in. It's like
They're not in.
They're not in.
They're not in the world.
Yeah, they're not
Right.
in the world.
But see, now that you're listening, you no longer are a muggle. You know that this is existing. So
Woohoo! Do I get a wand?
You could.
Well, I know somebody had also mentioned this to me, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but they said that you could track or you could buy.
Oh, yeah.
How I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, that's a different. One thing that most people start to realize after they go geocaching is the complexity, the multiple layers of it. Because at first, what we've just talked about is what's called a traditional cache. So there's a container. It's very straightforward. You're using coordinates, maybe some clues. You open up the container and blah, blah, blah. But there are so many other variants and layers of geocaching. There's puzzle caches. There's caches that involve geology. They're called earth caches.
Oh, wow.
There's things called virtual caches where there's no actual container, but it might take you on a historical walk. So, the different variants of geocaching are what they're. And there's these other things called travel bugs.
Yeah, I think what you're referring to is a travel bug, which is a trackable number. It's very unique. And so you can log it on the website and then track to see where it goes. So people take a little travel bug tag and attach it to a toy or some little item, and then they drop it in the cache. And then what's supposed to happen is people will pick it up and move it from cache to cache. And then you can see on the website, you can look on the map to see where it's gone. You can give it a goal, like I want to visit Europe or go to all the Disneylands around the world. And then you can see what happens. And sometimes people take pictures of it. And it's a really cool thing to do.
Something that some school kids have done is, as a classroom, they'll send out a travel bug with a goal. Let's say, to visit all the Disneylands, and they'll track it so they can see who picks it up, because everybody who picks it up logs it. They'll type in the code number, and then so you can see as it moves across, and sometimes to other countries and things like that. It's kind of fascinating to vicariously sort of travel with that bug.
That's how I heard about geocaching. Was a neighbor was really excited because they had found one of these bugs at our library, which is just a few blocks away from us. And he pulled up on the website, and it had gone from like Minnesota to Denmark to Texas and then to San Diego. And so I was like, what in the world?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a great introduction, and I think we've even gotten into some advanced stuff. But let's take a quick break, and we talk back. Let's talk about how maybe a family like Aaron's could get started in geocaching and what that would look like. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to Parent Savers. Today we're talking about geocaching with kids with Sandy and Sunny from podcaster.com. Thanks again for joining us. So let's say that we have this is something. Well, how did you guys get started? So I want to look at it because you were mentioning you started even before you had kids.
Well, I started pretty much when geocaching started as well.
Okay.
It was something that I read about in a magazine, and I'm a self-professed geek and love all things gadgetry, and I also love the outdoors. I love traveling, and so this was a perfect mix. So I read about it, started doing it, and had a lot of fun doing it on my own.
And I'm not trying to say that you're old or anything, but it was a lot harder then, right?
Way back then. We had to use constellations.
It only started in the year 2000, for those that don't know.
But it was still hard. I remember doing it with the GPS, like even before we had them on our phones, and that was even a little more difficult than it is now.
Well, the interface of the GPS was just like unreasonable.
Exactly.
It was, and so it was a higher threshold for people to be able to get into the game. Now it's so easy, especially with smartphones.
Yep.
And the kinds of GPS units that they have out there are a lot more user-friendly.
And the accuracy too.
Accuracy has improved significantly. But so I was doing it for several years, and then I was introduced to Sandy. So this is before we were married. And then I was introduced to Sandy.
You found her on a geocache.
Well, no.
But my brother and his family set us up on a blind date.
Yes.
And we went geocaching on our first date. With their whole family, 3 little kids. And the 2 of them and the 2 of us, our first date.
And one of the reasons I chose that was because I thought it would be a fun thing to do. I didn't know Sandy. I didn't know if it would be awkward to just go out to dinner. And I thought, hey, let's go do this thing called geocaching. So it's sort of like hiking, and you get to chat with somebody. I thought I'd get to know her, and if it didn't work out, I could always kind of walk in the other direction.
You had your phone call already set, but
find
it was
a tree.
Yeah. but things worked out, and it actually, so that was our first date.
Oh,
we
that's
went
awesome.
geocaching, and it actually translated to when it evolved to eventually when I proposed to her. I used geocaching as part of my proposal scheme.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah,
He hid a fake geocache, put my ring in it, the whole deal.
It was very involved. It was like Ocean's 11, Mission Impossible. I kid you not, there were binoculars and radio involved, as well as telescopic
Somebody guarding
lenses.
the cache. Everything.
Yeah, and
That's
it's all
awesome.
documented.
Very cool.
So
That
we
is super
geocached for years. Everywhere we went, we traveled. We went to Europe. We geocached there. And then when Sean was born in 2008, we probably took him out to find his first cache when he was 2 weeks old in his little baby carrier.
Baby
Right.
carrier,
I
yeah.
mean, of course, he's not looking for the geocache, but we just took him along, when we went.
So it's something we've always been doing. Yeah.
Well, and I know for our family, we like to get out in nature or do hikes, and it's sort of, it's hiking with a purpose a little bit too. That it can introduce you to some new areas, and then also kind of always make sure that it's something a little bit different there too.
I think one of the aspects that we really enjoy about it is the connection to people. Whether you're taking friends of your own age and other parents out geocaching or whatnot, or when it's with younger kids, there's that connection aspect, because you don't find the cache right away, especially if you go out to, geocaches are found in urban settings. They're found in out in the woods and things like that. Especially if you get a chance to go walking. What generally happens is people start to connect. They talk to each other, and then it's interrupted when you go find the geocache, and then you get walking and talking as you go find the next one. So that's, I think, the thing that appeals to us a lot.
We actually use geocaching, as a family activity, for like an occasion. Because, sometimes like it's, when we're recording this, it's about to be Father's Day. So it's like, oh, you want to do something together as a family.
Yeah.
But you don't want to spend like $100 just to like go somewhere. But so geocaching really doesn't really cost anything besides
No.
maybe some low entry costs for like the first time you do it.
Right.
If you want to get the app or if you want to go get the advanced features on the site. But even then, you don't have to do it.
Right.
But then you get all these great family experiences by being able to do it.
Tell them about post Thanksgiving, all our family. Gets.
Yeah, our larger family, we used to kind of have a tradition of after Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, we'd all go out on a hike and a geocache, and we'd find someplace near where we were gathered that time. And, all from the grown-ups, the grandparents, all the way down to the kids, we'd all go out. And some of them were more into it just for the hike or the walk.
Yeah, and the talking. Yeah.
Walk off
Yeah.
the turkey. And the kids would be more the ones really trying to find the container and stuff. But it was a great bonding experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. And so I think that in how old? I know you said you took your son out at 2 weeks, but obviously he's not really remembering it or getting
Right.
anything out of it. But 2-3 years old, can you see like families going out and the kids really enjoying themselves?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we took him, he graduated to a baby Bjorn and then to a backpack on Sonny's back. But then when he got to the point where he could actually walk and, do a decent short little hike, then he was right down there on the ground, ready to hunt for the cache at 2 or 3 and not totally understanding it. But once we got there and said, hey, we're looking for a box, help us find it.
Right.
He was totally into it. And especially then the trinkets that are inside.
Yeah, and so you have to make sure as the parents to have something for them to exchange.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they're that young. Now we say you have to pick something from your toys.
Exactly. But yeah, when they're that young, to
Right.
make sure that they're ready. So because they're going to see the box, they're going to want something from
Right.
it. So make sure you're replacing it with something else.
Right.
And one of the things about geocaching is it scales. We've talked about on our show, because we have parents that call in and talk to us as well, is what's appropriate for what age. So depending upon the age, you might want to consider, how long is the hike going to be? Are they going to get crabby after a hot day? And make sure you bring along snacks and water and things like that. So you really got to take into consideration, and your geocaching style sort of evolves depending on who's going out with you that day. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of settings have you guys geocached in? Like, what are some of the maybe more exotic experiences, or, what are some more kind of family experiences that you've had that have been great with geocaching?
Well, the exotic ones are probably our overseas travels, but that was before Sean was born.
Yeah. We've geocached in other countries.
France and Spain and Amsterdam. It's just
Kazakhstan.
amazing. I mean, no matter where you go, there's geocaches there. So if you're on a family vacation,
Yeah.
Even if it's just to, a local state park or national park, there's going to be caches there.
And sometimes I feel like it's one of those things where you don't even have to be out saying, oh, we're going geocaching. You can be out like, oh yeah, we're at a state park.
Yeah.
And you guys might be beyond this, but at least for us, then it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe there's geocaches around.
Well, that's a good point. And that's one of the great advantages of the smartphone app is the spontaneity of it. because it used to be before, back in the old days,
Yep.
you'd have to really plan out where you were going to go hunting, and you used to, I'm not kidding you not, you used to print out the papers and then,
Right.
and had to put in the coordinates by hand. Now you can just carry along your smartphone, and then exactly you serendipitously say, oh, hey, let's see what's around nearby,
Right.
and you find some cool stuff. Sometimes it leads you to places that you never expected to visit. Sandy and I went on a cruise one time, and that's exactly what we did. We got off, and instead of paying for one of those expensive excursions that they push on you, we said, hey, let's see what geocache is around here.
That's a good idea.
And it took us to some amazing places at our cruise location. And what ended up happening was some of these other people who paid for excursions ended up going to the same
the same
place. And we're like,
spots.
oh, we got here for free, and we're having a great time.
Geocaching.
Well, I think that goes to a little bit then, and I think you guys have had some experience planting caches, and
Oh, yeah.
in the mind of the people that are planting it. So those people, a lot of times when you're encouraged, when you go through the process to be a hider instead of a seeker, you're encouraged to, why are you pulling people to this location? Is there something noteworthy? And encouraged to draw people to things that maybe you enjoy and open up to their experiences.
Yeah. And one of the things we highly suggest is, find a decent amount of caches, whether that number is 20 or 50 or 100 caches before you actually hide. It's just something that you want to do so that you get a little bit of experience. But it's one thing that you really can pull together a family, because then with kids you can say, hey, where should we hide this cache? Get some of their input.
Yeah.
What may be a theme, because I've heard of like wizards themes or pirate themes, and they hide the cache with buried treasure as part of it. And it's a neat way to once you've evolved to that stage of like, let's go hide something, that's a neat thing to do as a family. Yeah.
So what kind of stuff do you guys talk about on your podcasts?
Oh gosh, what you want the tagline?
Yeah.
What's the
Okay.
tagline?
Podcatcher talks about news, tips and tricks, tools of the trade, interviews, caching events, and stories from around the world. So that's everything. We're sort of a variety show.
Yeah.
And geocachers come from all walks of life. We tell them out there though that the geocachers that listen to Podcatcher are some of the most intelligent, creative, and good-looking listeners that are out there. But it's a variety show essentially, and we cover everything from geocaching and GPS news. Lots of our listeners either call in or write in stories that are fascinating. Or we give tips and tricks and tools of the trade, gadgets and stuff like that.
Yeah, and because we have an international audience, it's great to hear stories of how people cache in other countries. We've interviewed a lot of different geocachers who somebody who found a not an actual container, but an earth cache on the top of Mount Everest, actually climbed up there. Someone who's gone caching by hot air balloon. Just really unique
sword swallower
things.
Yeah.
But then just other, normal cachers, who just either like to go out to really unusual places, or the cachers who like to find 1,000 or, in a day or a weekend. There's so many different ways to play the game. And so
It
we
really
talk
is
about
this whole world that's out there
Yeah.
that the muggles don't realize.
Well, and geocachers, they're both. It's strange because they're both independent. They like to go hunting by themselves sometimes. Sometimes they like to go in groups, and some are very, very social. They put together these huge events. It's just like any hobby or sport that you'd have. They get together. They have picnics and fried chicken, and they get together and have all these geocaching tips and so they're geocaching events as well that pop up everywhere.
Okay. But I think that the trick is it's not just. It is a secret world, but everybody's invited.
Oh, yeah.
It's not trying to be exclusive, and it's not trying to have other people to be exclusive. Everyone's invited, and so you can join in. So what do you like?
I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I'm totally stoked. Yeah, I just see so many applications. I can't wait to start, because for example, if you're out somewhere and you're having to do something adult, but you have your child with you, and your child is starting to get temperamental and fussy, then you can be like, oh, hey, well, while Dad's doing that, let's see what's around,
Sure.
and you can kill time with geocaching.
And if you're at any sort of like park or outdoor setting, chances are there's going to be a geocache around.
Yeah, or like if you're traveling, and really, how many cathedrals can you drag your kids through, right?
Right.
Slash husband.
Well, he's the art historian, so
Okay, slash wife.
I was being dragged. But so this way you can have a kind of like a multi-layered trip, so to speak, because the kids are doing one thing, being able to do the geocaching while you get to see that famous triptych that everyone was gushing about. And
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about the fact that you're right. Many parks have geocaches, and especially if you have young kids, you can go find a cache or two and then let them play on the playground and take a break. You don't want to just overwhelm them with complete caching all day.
Yeah.
But you can have a variety in your day.
And the nice thing is it can evolve over time. One of the things that people do is they hide geocaches. Geocaching actually evolved from an much older sport called letterboxing, and essentially what letterboxing is sort of what you would consider the typical pirate treasure map. Turn left at the parrot and turn right at the oak tree, and here's where the treasure box is. Well, you can do something like that and combine it with geocaching and make it a real interesting experience. And again, if you do that with your child and kind of use the imagination to bring in something creative, that's always fun to do as well.
Nice.
I think it's a great tool for homeschooling too. You can incorporate so many subjects in it. I'm so excited.
There are educators out there who've actually written books on curriculum on how to use geocaching. I mean, because it's so engaging and it's so interactive.
Because you can use it to teach so many things, not just the GPS type of technology, but you can use it in any subject because you can do puzzle caches, with math or just learning about the world.
It's just awesome.
Such a great world, and hopefully you guys can enter the geocaching world as well as listeners. Anything else you guys want to add as we wrap this up or make sure we cover off on?
Well, if you want to learn more about geocaching, one place to go, of course, is our podcast. It's every week, and so there's always new things to learn and share. I mean, we get comments from our listeners all the time that whether you're a veteran or a newbie, and that's what you call it, right? Yeah. Newbie, that there's something to hear about at Podcasher. So check out our website.
Great. And we will definitely link to that on our website as well, but you guys can also go directly to it, podcasher.com. Thank you so much, Sandy and Sunny, for joining us today. For more information, go to parentsavers.com, which is apparent. I was going to talk out what the URL was, but I think that it's pretty clear on that one. You can also join our Parent Savers Club, and we'll actually continue the conversation after the show with our bonus content, so make sure to stay tuned for that.
Hey, Parent Savers. This is Sunny. I'm one of the producers on the show. We have a comment from one of our listeners. This comes from Jason Brooks, and Jason writes, Windows Phone users, listen to. I listen to all your podcasts through your app on my Windows Phone. In every intro, you mentioned that the app can be downloaded for iPhone and Android, but I figured since you paid the money to develop a Windows Phone app, I'm sure there are others like me that would want to listen through the Windows Phones, and you should also promote the fact that you have one on the air, please. And then he even provided us the link where we can download it. And Jason, thank you so much for this. You're absolutely right. There's a bunch of people out there that listen to the show through the Windows Phone, and we have a special app for that. And we're going to start promoting that we have an app on the Windows Phone in addition to one for iOS, which covers the iPhone and iPad, Android even, and Google Play. So thank you. Thank you for pointing this out, Jason. We really appreciate you listening to our shows and for taking the time to send in this comment.
That wraps up today's episode of Parent Savers. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to check out our sister shows, Preggy Pals for expecting parents, The Boob Group for moms who breastfeed, and Twin Talks for parents with multiples. This is Parent Savers, empowering new parents.
This has been a New Mommy Media production. The information and material contained in this episode are presented for educational purposes only. Statements and opinions expressed in this episode are not necessarily those of New Mommy Media and should not be considered facts. While such information and materials are believed to be accurate, it is not intended to replace or substitute for professional medical advice or care, and should not be used for diagnosing or treating healthcare problem or disease or prescribing any medication. If you have questions or concerns regarding your physical or mental health or the health of your baby, please seek assistance from a qualified healthcare provider.
New Mommy Media is expanding our lineup of shows for new and expecting parents. If you have an idea for a new series, or if you're a business or organization interested in joining our network of shows through a co-branded podcast, visit newmommymedia.com. Hey mamas, don't forget to check out Mighty Moms. It's our online community built for new moms just like you. Not only can you connect with other moms, but you can also join us backstage for special mom-only online events. And you'll also be notified when we're recording so you can join us as a special guest. Visit our website, newmommymedia.com, and click on the Mighty Moms banner. It's free. That's newmommymedia.com. See you there.